Welcome back to Your House Fitness. Today we're going to do one of my favorite exercises, the air squat, also known as the body weight squat. Fantastic exercise, but requires a surprising amount of control despite again not having much load. When I see people do air squats, they don't tend to get the most range of motion, and they also use the wrong mechanics. I'm going to show you how to do it, and then I'll break down a few mistakes. When I do my air squats, I want to have a very comfortable stance. If you don't know where your stance is, I would find where you can actually get the most knee flexion. What that means is how much I can pull my knee to my chest. If I stand right in front of you and I have my knees really close and I pull it up, I can get to about here before I start feeling discomfort in my hip. If I turn my hips out, I get a lot more movement. Unfortunately, this is different for everyone, so play around with it. Just lay on the floor, pull your knee into your chest, and see what feels better. Try to make sure you don't have a lot of rounding of the spine. This is not necessarily cheating, but you won't really find your true hip range of motion when you're doing this. I know what mine is through years of practice, and I will sometimes do this on my client, where they'll lay on their back, and I'll just track their knee around their hip, and see what feels comfortable. And sometimes with just my eyes, I can kind of tell when someone's just like a little too, I call it congested when they're going down, or they're so wide they can't get the range of motion because they already maxed out the length that they currently have in their muscles, okay? So once we find our range of motion, our stance, we'll have ideal range of motion. I'm gonna start with a side view because that's where you'll see most of the action. So I'm in my stance. I like to have my hand personally out in front of me for counterbalance, and I wanna make sure I'm creating pressure on top. This will help me engage my lats and will help me create core stability. I'm gonna take a very deep breath in, fill it with a ton of air, and before I squat, I want to make sure I start the right way. Too often I see people do this where they bend mostly the knees and not enough the hip, and it'll look like this. And then they just get stuck, their knees hurt, their quads are burning too soon. Not optimal. What I want is actually to start with a hip hinge, okay? So I'm in my stance, and I'm going to start with a 10-degree hip hinge, very small, just like that. But doing that will ensure I have good balance. Most of my center of mass is around my chest right now, and I want to bring it over the midfoot. If I don't do that, let's say I just bend the knees, my center of mass is right behind me. This is going to make me feel like I'm going to fall over. So let's not have that happen. So we're going to start with a hip hinge. Then I'm going to part my knees, okay, to the side. This will create a ton of clearance for me, and it's going to help you with the range of motion issue. All right, so we hip hinge, knees part to the side, and then I'm going to push my hips back and bend my knees simultaneously. And I'm going to stop when I'm below parallel. I push my knees through the ground, and I extend my hips forward to finish. Try not to overextend. I see this happen a lot where people try to get the glutes to engage, and they arch their back a ton. Not necessary. You just got to come up to the start position right here. Okay, so let me do a few reps for you. Hip hinge first, knees go out, and I drive on up. Hip hinge, knees out, drive on up. We're going to do 3 more. Last 2. Last 1. Excellent. I'll do a few from the front. And another cue I really like giving is rooting your feet into the ground. I'll take my big toe, my pinky toe, and my heels, and I'm going to grip the floor with them. I'm going to turn my right foot clockwise, left foot counterclockwise, and it's going to engage my glutes significantly. We're going to do a few more reps. 5. I root. Hip hinge, knee bend, push, extend. Hip hinge, knee bend. Make sure you root the whole time. Last 2. Last 1. Boom. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next time.